Hi everyone, it's Shana with Dancing Daisy Designs, and I need to get something painted for my space. So we're going to start a new project today, so let's go get started. This is what I'm going to be painting today. It is a barrel style side table, probably circa 1970s, and I've already sanded the top, and I made a repair here at the base underneath the door here. And one of the things that I love about these old vintage side tables is this one has so much storage inside. You could put a full-on like board game inside there. It is big. So these are the three colors that I'm considering. Not really sure what I'm going to pick. How do you pick a paint color? This time I'm taking a new approach. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Looks like cherry picked is the winner. Purple for the win. All right, let's get started. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to spray my brush so that it's not super dry when I dip it into my paint. That just helps your paint flow a little easier. And then I'm just going to apply a coat. Whenever I have a round surface like this, I like to do go around in the circle instead of doing like up and down or side to side strokes on it. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to get my side to side done, and then in the middle I'll do like a back and forth kind of pattern. So with DIY paint, it is a thicker paint because it has clay in it. It's clay-based chalk style paint. And so because of that, whenever you're painting, if your brush doesn't feel like it's flowing smoothly on the surface, you just want to add a little bit of water. I have a continuous mister bottle, and it just puts out like a light mist. You can use a spray bottle. It's just going to put a little bit more water on your piece. I recommend the continuous spray bottle, but it can definitely be done either way. Well, I thought I was recording when I painted the front of this door, but I wasn't. Oops. And so I just have this little corner where I could show you what I did to paint the front of this door that has like those little like caning area where you really got to push the paint down in there. So that's all you do. It's just simple. You just kind of like shove the paint down in there and kind of wiggle it around in a circular motion to fill in all of that area so there aren't any weird dark spots left in there. Painted up, and it is now ready for sealing. I'm actually going to be using DIY clear wax and then black wax over that, and I'll explain why in a minute. But first I want to show you, I've got my DIY clear wax here, and it's a really nice soft buttery wax. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like really soft and really like luxurious to work with. It goes on really smooth, and this is like my favorite wax to use. So I've got my wax and I let this piece sit. You want to let it sit, I would suggest at least 24 hours before you wax it, just because I find that it gives the paint a little time to cure, and it just makes the process a lot smoother in my opinion. So you absolutely don't have to do that. I just find that it makes it easier. So I've got my clear wax here. I've got my wax brush, and instead of just dipping in and smearing it on, I'm gonna take some of this wax and I'm gonna put it in another container, just because I don't want to contaminate my clear wax with any color that might come off onto my brush when I'm rubbing the wax in. So I'm just gonna scoop out a chunk, stick it in my bowl here, And then if I need any more, I'll grab some more. And so the way to wax is you just want to get a little bit of wax onto your brush, kind of like, do you see the wax on there? And then you just basically, it's so simple, you just smear it on everywhere. Now, I find that you don't want to push too hard. You want to get a nice even coat. And you see how the paint is darkening up a lot with the wax? That's because DIY paint is a clay-based paint, and so it has clay in it, like a lot of clay. And so when it gets wet, it darkens, just like clay would. So this is going to darken up, and then when it dries, it's going to dry kind of like halfway between this dark color and this color that hasn't been sealed yet. So it's going to be like in between those two colors, a really nice, beautiful purple. And I just wanted to take a minute on this color, and I just wanted to talk about how luxurious and beautiful, just how beautiful this color is. It's called Cherry Picked, and this is what it looks like. And I feel like it's really underutilized, but it's one of my picks for fall 2023 colors. So this is one of the colors that I picked for fall, and I feel like it goes amazingly with my fall picks. And I'm gonna insert like a little photo here so you can see what my fall picks. These are the 4 colors that I picked for fall this year. So we've got Cherry Picked, Bohemian Blue, Summer Crush, and Monet's Garden. And what I love about this paint is that you can, if you love the color how it is, you can paint it on, clear coat it, and go. If you want to make it even more moody, then you can dark wax over it and add a lot of depth with that. Or you can white wax it and you can bring out more like cheer and joy into the color. So you can really modify it to your specific style. I'm just going to keep on waxing this piece. And then what you want to do is once you finish getting your wax all over it, and then you just take a soft rag and just wipe back any excess that's like sitting on the top. And then let it sit. I would say overnight, kind of like let it dry a little bit. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna add our black wax over the top of it. And that's gonna bring so much depth and beauty to this piece. It's going to be gorgeous. Got my coat of wax on here and I'm letting it sit a little bit. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about wax. I wanted to tell you a little bit more about wax, why it's great, and why I absolutely love it as a product. So the first thing, I made myself a little list here so I don't forget anything. The first thing is that it's a great sealer. It goes on and it dries kind of matte. And so you can leave it matte, or you can buff it into like a really beautiful shine. So it depends on the look you're going for, but you have a lot of control with wax because you can work it with the matte, or you can bring it way up into the suit, like really nice glossy shine. So that's a really cool effect that you can do with wax. Another thing with wax is that you can mix your own wax colors. With the DIY paint brand wax, you could take the clear wax and you can add like a little bit of whatever color you want, and you can make yourself your very own colored wax. And so that's really fun when it comes to doing like brighter, more, you know, colorful pieces. Like you can really go wild and really play and have a lot of fun with the wax. Another tip for using wax is you don't want to push too hard because you can pull up some of your paint. Just like when you're applying a water-based top coat over this paint, it is reactivating the paint because this paint is reactivated when wet. And so when you're putting wax on, it's not water, but it's still giving it a wet effect until it dries. And so it will reactivate a little bit and you can pull your paint up. So you don't want to push very hard with your wax brush, just like you wouldn't want to push very hard with your top coat brush and overwork the piece. So that's something to keep in mind. Wax, I would say it's better for indoor use for sure because it is wax, and wax can melt in the heat or the sun. So for instance, if I took this piece and put it outside in the sun, the wax would might get like kind of tacky again and weird, and you don't want that to happen. So wax is best used on an indoor piece. Now, as far as durability, if I was gonna do like a kitchen table, for example, I would want to seal with a top coat, like a water-based top coat first, simply because it's going to hold up a little bit better to a lot of crazy use, especially if you have kids. So I would put the water-based sealer on and then put the wax over it if you're going to add some effects with the wax or whatever. Wax always goes on last because wax has to kind of breathe. It's more organic. And so you can do all kinds of fun stuff, whatever you want. You can seal with a water-based top coat, but you always want the wax to go on last. A lot of people use waxes to get like a vintage effect or add kind of like a grungy look to a piece. So keep that in mind. You always want your wax to go on last. There are people who do off-label use where the wax doesn't go on last, but if you're gonna do that, then the results might vary. So play around with it. If you're gonna go crazy and do something off-label, make sure you test it out first before you do it on a big piece of furniture. So that's pretty much everything that you need to know about wax. Now, I'm gonna be using a dark wax after I'm gonna let my clear wax kind of cure and dry a little bit. That's why I'm gonna wait overnight for it. And then I'm gonna buff it just a little bit. That way when I put on my black wax, I can kind of see what I'm looking at and the effects I'm getting. I'm gonna show you in just a minute how blotchy this looks when it's drying. This is kind of like the wax freak out factor where some people think, oh my God, I ruined my piece. I don't know what I'm doing. What should I do? I just wanted to add right here a little note that in my opinion, working with this clay paint in particular, it's very absorbent, and depending on like the variations in thickness of the paint that you've put on, you do risk having a little bit of blotchiness when you use wax. So in my best advice would be, if you absolutely do not want any blotchiness at all, but you want the effect of the wax, seal it with a water-based sealer first. Let it dry, apply your wax on top of it, and then you still get the effect of the wax without risking any blotchiness at all. So I'm gonna wait for my clear to dry, like I said, give it a little buff, and then I'm gonna put on my black wax. That way I can see where the black wax is going and where I want it to stay. The wax will dry. If I left like a thick coat of black somewhere on here, it's gonna dry like that, and then it's gonna stay there. So I want to be able to control the areas where I have the black in and smooth it out. This is the next day after I gave it a little buff, just a very slight one, and as you can see there's a little bit of blotchiness there, like I told you could happen, and this is what it looks like after the first coat with just the clear wax. Hi everybody, it's the next day and we're ready to do our black wax now. The piece has set overnight and the wax has soaked in and dried up a little bit, and I just gave it like a wipe off before I started this video just to get any dust or anything like that might have got on it. So now I've got my black wax and this is what that looks like. It's just a black version of what we already used. I like to use a smaller brush for the dark waxes. It gives me more control. Usually you want to do a smaller area with the darker waxes. So this is what our piece looks like now. And I think I want to kind of start on the sides. Kind of on the side here. And do that first before I do the more advanced area in the front here that has the little holes in it. So it's the same thing. You just want to dip your brush in and then apply it where you'd like. Since it has clear wax on already, we're going to have more control. So I like to, when I'm doing dark waxes, I like to get more in these corner areas here. Can you see that? There's kind of like a corner here and then down here. Because that's where it would age over time naturally, and so it's going to look more realistic with your aging. And so I'm just going to get some wax on my brush, just a bit like that, and then we're just going to go in and apply it in those areas. This is going to bring a lot of depth into the piece as well. Make sure to get it all the way into the corners. And then you're not going to wait for the dark wax. You're going to just go in and you're going to wipe back. Okay, in this instance, it didn't really wipe back much, so it didn't fade into the other color. So what we can do is we can use our clear wax like an eraser to bring some of that back. So let me grab my clear wax. All right, I got my clear wax, and I'm gonna do the same thing I did before. I'm gonna just take some out, put it into a different container. That way we don't contaminate our whole jar with the black. And then I'm just going to use, I grabbed myself a new rag here, and I'm just going to use the rag for this. So I'm going to get some clear wax on my rag. And we're just going to go in. I'm going to kind of work the dark wax around with that. As I'm rubbing with my clear wax, I'm also working to kind of feather the black out into the center of the piece. Did you see how I did like the whole outside area like that around the edges? So I'm working to kind of feather it in so that the black like smooths in and it looks kind of like seamless. There's not like a line where it stops and starts, so I want to feather it in. It's going to give it more of a natural age appearance. Okay, I'm to the front now, and I'm just going to be really gentle with this, and this area here with the little holes in it, I'm just gonna kind of like do like almost like a dry brushing action on it, because I don't want to like squish the wax all into the holes and make it extra dark. I want it to be a little bit lighter than that. So first I'm going to do the edges. And when you're waxing, remembering, let the brush do the work. You don't have to push super hard. I mean, I want to get it into the cracks, but... And then you just go in and wipe back. See how I'm just kind of feathering it on? Let me bring you in close so you can kind of see. So this is the side that I just waxed with the dark wax. Okay, and then this is the side that isn't waxed. So you can see the difference there. Can you see how this one got, like, it's darker, it's more moody, it's got more depth to it. Okay, I'm gonna work on the top now. And because it's round, it's a little bit more complex. So I'm gonna do circulars with this one. Instead of coming out like this or straight lines, I'm gonna kind of do circular. I want this area on the outside just to be a little bit darker, and then this indented area to be a little darker. So let's just start with just a little bit. I'm gonna get that edge. Start getting it down into that crease. Wipe back and see what we've got. That looks good. That's about where I want to go with that. And one of the things that I want to say about black wax and dark wax is, especially on a dark color like this, you kind of want to let it sit and dry, and then you're going to get a better idea of how much wax you've got and where, and then you can see if you need to add a little bit more or not. So that's a little tip. Makes it a lot easier. Thank you guys so much for coming along with me and while I work on this project, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you need any of the paint and products that I used in this video, you can find everything and more at dancingdaisydesigns.com. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. Every single person helps out my small business so much. And follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.